All right. So we're just going to
All right.
talk about some guys from Detroit.
All right.
All righty.
Detroit Rock City.
Detroit Rock City. Cobo Hall. Remember that one? Cobo Hall?
I do. Detroit has a great history, not only of boxing, but music. All right.
Cars.
Welcome once
Cars.
again. Oh, of course. Of course.
Cars.
Uh, Talkin' Fight Nation. Welcome to another exciting episode of Neil the Deal. Tonight we're talking about Detroit, as you can
Yep.
tell. And are we going to be featuring a specific boxer from Detroit?
Hey, good evening, Graham. How are you tonight?
Guess so.
Not too
I'm
bad.
good, thank
Right
you.
on. Getting ready for the big storm, I guess.
I did not know we had one coming.
Yes, we do, sir. 25 to 35 centimeters. So get the shovels out, get the kids going, and make them earn their stay, so to speak. My dad used to say, here's a good one, kids. My driveway was 350 feet long, right, Graham? So when I was a kid, by the time I finished the driveway, I'd have to do it again. So this just kept going on for years and years. I said to my mother, Mom, can you get me a snowblower? Talk to Dad. He comes over to me the next day and goes, I hear you want a snowblower. I said, yeah, can you get me a snowblower? I'm dying out here. He goes, no. I go, well, why not? He goes, that's why I had you. I was like, oh, I see. So I'm a human snowblower now, am I? All right, anyways. All right, guys. So thanks for coming out. It's really cold up here. We're going to have a lot of snow tonight, so bear with us, right? We might have a little bit of freezing on the brain. I don't know what it is, but yeah, we've been out shoveling and all that jazz. But we're going to start talking in the next couple of days, or maybe this week. Maybe we'll spend the week. I'm not sure. But I want to talk about boxers in specific cities, all right? So we're going to focus on Detroit because as far as, me growing up and knowing fighters, I always knew that the fighters that came out of Detroit or Michigan, we'll just call it Michigan, the state of Michigan, were always really tough, and they had really good facilities there, and they took their boxing very serious in Detroit. One of the big guys that ran one of the biggest gyms in the world was Emmanuel Stewart, and we talked about him on an earlier episode. He's a trainer, coach. I believe he trained 41 world title holders or something crazy, like over 40. You know what I mean? And that was out of his gym, Kronk. The Kronk gym in Detroit is very famous, very well known. So one of the big guys that literally put them on the map was back in the day was Thomas Hearns. All right. So Thomas Hearns is one of the guys we've already talked about Tommy and what a career he had, and it was amazing. But he's from Detroit, the Detroit region. So again, like I said, we're going to try to do like 5 of the best Detroit boxers ever, but we've already covered a bunch, guys. So if you want to go back and check out those episodes of Thomas Hearns and other individuals that we've already talked about, I have some new ones to add to the list. So we just talked about Tommy Hearns, so he's definitely one of the top 5. Another one was Joe Louis, who's from Detroit. So we all know who Joe Louis is. And we did an episode on Joe, guys. So if you want to go back and check out the Joe Louis episodes or the Tommy Hearns episodes, feel free. They're really good. Give you a little insight on who they were and what they're doing. Now, Sugar Ray Robinson, again, we did an episode on him, and he's from Detroit. So really, out of the Detroit region, we got a couple of guys that we can add to the top 5. But those 3 are we've covered them in earlier episodes, and I just feel that you're not going to get much better than those 3 out of the Michigan area. So the one guy we're going to talk about today is going to be on the list, but I'm going to give you a list of some of the guys that came out of Detroit over the years and guys that were notables to me. So maybe you might want to look into some of these guys as well. Hilmer Kenty. Hilmer Kenty, he was a fantastic fighter out of Detroit. Andre Durrell, I don't know if you know him. Durrell, him and his brother Anthony Durrell, fantastic fighters out of Detroit. Pinklin Thomas, if you remember him, he's a heavyweight back in the day. Pinklin Thomas was a good fighter. James Toney was another big fighter. I mean, I remember a few years ago, Graham, he tried to go MMA or something, and that didn't. I think he fought Randy Couture or something like 10 years. I don't know. He got just pommeled. He's a good boxer, but he's not a very good martial artist. Put it that way. So James Toney's a cool guy, though, like a hell of a fighter and tough as nails. James Toney. We'll probably talk about him one day. Tony Tucker was another Detroit boy. another guy who was really good, Tony Tucker. Buster Mathis Jr. was another guy, guys. And Chris Bird, who we just had on the show. He's actually from Michigan, Detroit area. So today we're going to add one guy to the list of the top 5. We're going to add him. And Graham, today we're going to talk about Floyd Mayweather Jr.
Son of a gun.
So Floyd Mayweather Jr. was basically from the Detroit area. Very interesting. I mean, you hear about, everybody knows who Mayweather Jr. is. He's like the biggest fighter out there. He was career record 50-0. He's got the record for most consecutive wins, like obviously 50-0. Marciano was 49-0, but he retired at 50-0. So we'll talk a little bit about Floyd, and it's interesting about Floyd because he has a pretty controversial lifestyle, as we all know. He seems to like to flaunt his wealth, and he likes to have a good time. And hey, all to him, right? He's the one making the money. He can do whatever he wants with it, right? So let's go over him. So he was born, interestingly enough, Graham, Floyd Joy, Joy, Sinclair. Sinclair. So Floyd Joe Sinclair. And when he was growing up, I believe like maybe when he was 1 or 2 years old, they decided that was his mother's maiden name. And he took that name, but then they changed it over to Mayweather, which was his father, Floyd Mayweather Sr. So he was born February 24th, 1977. He's 43 years old. He's retired. His career spanned from 1996 to 2015, but he did come back in 2017, and he had that fight with Conor McGregor. We all remember that one. Kind of like it was more an event, I think, Graham, really, but they sure did well at the box office, those two. I mean, Mayweather made $300 million off that. And what's his name there? That little Irish guy that keeps getting beaten up. I don't know. He's terrible. $100 million. He made $100 million just to fight Floyd Mayweather. That's unbelievable. So I didn't know that. Like, these guys are raking in that kind of ding dong. It's like, holy cow, I'm in the wrong business. So Floyd was a hell of a fighter, though. He fought in multiple divisions, Graham. So he fought in featherweight, super featherweight, light welterweight, lightweight, and light middleweight over his career. And he won 15 world titles, Graham. 15. And the lineal championship in 4 different weight divisions. So he was the champ with all the belts in 4 divisions. That's insane. Like, you always see him on the fights, and he's got 2 or 3 belts hanging off him at least, right? So, interesting enough, when he was growing up, he was an amateur, and he boxed for the U.S. Olympic team. 1996 in Atlanta, he was a featherweight in the featherweight division, and he won a bronze medal. So he won a bronze medal. I understand he kind of got a bit ripped off there, I think. Like, so there was some controversy involved in that decision. And so he ended up with a bronze there. He also got 3 Golden Glove titles growing up. So, those are Michigan State Golden Glove titles. So he did really well in that. And that was in the light flyweight, and featherweight divisions for the Golden Gloves. He retired again, 50-0. And he's been known for sure. If you guys watch Floyd Mayweather, and I watched him like probably 30 or 40 of his fights, and I noticed this right away. He's been known to have the best defense in boxing history as a boxer. His defense, Graham, is amazing. He can't hit the guy. He's got that roll, that tuck and roll, that roll and tuck and tuck. He just slides punches, and he's just like, he comes from all angles, and he's unbelievable. Like, the dexterity the guy has in the ring is like unbelievable when you watch him, because guys are like, these are super pro guys he's fighting, the best in the world, and they can't even hit him. Like, he made his CompuBox numbers for like slugging percentage in fights is ridiculous against anybody. He's like, he'll have 490 punches thrown, and he'll land like 256, and the other guy will throw like 289 and land like 64. Like, it's crazy numbers where he's in a league of his own. This guy's Mayweather Jr. is in a league of his own. He's I don't know. I don't even know how to explain that. But so his father, growing up, his father was his trainer, obviously, with his uncle. and a couple of their buddies, and both his father and uncle were world champions, right? So his father was a perfectionist, and apparently he didn't get along with his dad that well. His dad was kind of a bit of a crazy man, a little bit. He got himself in a lot of trouble and ended up in the Crowbar Hotel at some point. And Floyd didn't like that, so he basically fired his own father. And then he decided his uncle was going to be his trainer, which he was all the years until he passed away in 2015. And then I think that's basically he retired, right? When his uncle died, I guess he figured, what am I going to do? Get another trainer or whatever? He was 50-0 or 49-0, and he just packed it in, right? So overall, have you ever heard of Forbes magazine, Graham, too? Forbes?
Yeah, I sure have.
Yeah. Forbes magazine is a magazine that ranks people's wealth.
Yeah.
And he was ranked the #1 paid athlete in the world for years. I mean, I don't know now. I don't know if he had 2 fights or like now he doesn't do it anymore, but he's like $400 million per fight, right? So, but I just saw recently did you see this, Graham, where Lionel Messi from Barcelona in soccer got a contract for $875 million.
Yeah.
What? Like, and I thought my boy Mahomes did good at $550 million for 10 years, but apparently Messi, these guys, these are astronomical numbers, guys. So thanks for liking too. We didn't talk about the likes and the shares and all the subscriptions and all the great stuff, guys. This has been really good. So just keep her coming. We're talking about Floyd Mayweather Jr. today on the Neil the Deal Show. We're just going to keep rolling with him. So all these different stats and stuff like I didn't really know, but he's generated, pay-per-views. He's got the biggest pay-per-views, Graham? Mayweather in the history of pay-per-views. He's generated 24 million pay-per-view buys. 24 million? What? That is wow. Like, we know about eyeballs, and it is ridiculous. And he's generated, just in his pay-per-views, $1.67 billion. Billion. So that'll tell you who this guy is. Apparently his net worth, it's disputable. They're all saying 500 million, 700 million, $1 billion. So nobody really knows what he's really worth, I guess, Whatever. It's way more than we'll ever have. Put it that way. You know what I mean? Like, whatever, bud. Maybe you can buy that new Rolls Royce like JB just did, the new one. I know you like cars, Floyd. You got every car in the book. Like, he's got every car, Graham. His cars are like millions. 2 million, 3 million, a car. That's just a car. His watch collection, Graham, is 18 million. Just in watches. It's like, what? That's his watch collection. So anyways, and he grew up really poor, by the way, guys. He literally grew up poor in Michigan there. So, and he was born in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I didn't know that. I would have thought he would have been born in California or something, you know what I mean? But no, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Interesting stuff. So he had an amateur career. Obviously, he won that bronze medal in the Olympics, Atlanta. He had a good record. He had 92 fights. He had 85 wins and 8 losses, right? So he did lose 8 back in the day, but he didn't lose any as a pro. In 2018, too, we were talking about that pay-per-view thing. I forgot to mention. In 2018, Graham, he was basically the highest paid athlete in the world at that time for 1 year. Okay, in 1 year, he made $275 million.
Wow.
In 2018, it's like, holy moly, man! No wonder you're throwing around like 10,000 is like, wipe my ass with that shit. 10,000.
And the cap hit on the Detroit Red Wings would have been like what, 33 million? So he would have made more than the entire Detroit Red Wings hockey team.
That is correct. Cap. Well,
Wow.
yeah, I think the cap is around 70 million in hockey, 72 million for a whole team, and he just crushed them.
Wow.
Made 275 million in 1 year.
Wow.
And he was retired. Like, he wasn't even fighting. Like, holy cow. So, all right. So let's go into his pro stuff quick here. We all know 50-0. That'll just tell you. 50 wins, 0 losses, and 0 draws. You won them all. we're going to talk about some of his notable fights now, and there's so many. He could pretty much, he's like a highlight reel. The thing that I personally didn't like about him that much, Graham, like earlier on in his career, he was a bit of a, he had the knock, he could knock guys out, all right? But then over his career, he was smart. And what he decided was he'd use his defense to be very elusive. His speed is amazing. His ring savvy is amazing. His defense is ridiculous. And his punch rate is like crazy. He just kills everybody. So a lot of his fights now go the distance. If you've noticed, Graham, in his last, say, 10 years of his career, they're all 12-round, unanimous decision. He doesn't really beat up on guys. He just makes fun of them. He literally just pokes fun at you the whole time, and he knows that you're not going to beat him, so he's just too good, right? But he doesn't really go in there with the attitude like I got to knock these guys out. He just plays. He's like a cat playing with a mouse, type of thing, you know. He's just banging you around and knocking you around a little bit and letting you stay in there, right? But he just wear you down, and then you're done. He check out his fights. It's what he does. He outpoints you. He outboxes you. That's what he does. And the judges, that's what it's called, boxing, right? He wins the fights because he gains more points and he lands like higher percentage landing, right? His power punches, his jabs, everything's pretty much, it's there for this guy. So he doesn't need to go in there and be like, knocking everybody out. He doesn't really do that anymore, or he didn't do that. So let's go over these notable fights, Graham. Obviously, we got a Mayweather Pacquiao. We all remember that one. Big pay-per-view. Other than the Conor McGregor one, I believe that was the biggest pay-per-view record of all time. But that Conor McGregor thing just was ridiculous. Mayweather versus a guy named Diego Corrales. You want to watch Corrales? That was early on in his career. Fantastic fight. Amazing. Pacquiao was May 2nd, 2015, by the way. Corrales, we got Jesus Chavez. It was a great fight. Mayweather versus Jesus Chavez. Mayweather versus Gotti, Arturo Gotti, June 25th, 2005. Great fight. I just watched this one the other day, Graham, literally. Mayweather versus Oscar De La Hoya. May 5th, 2007. Great fight. Went the distance. I mean, Mayweather obviously won, but it was close. Like, Oscar was in there. He didn't, he was in there. Then another one that I watched after that was Mayweather versus Ricky Hatton. You remember Ricky Hatton, Graham?
Yes. Yep.
He was from England, I believe. Was he not? Or Scotland? England.
I think England. Yeah.
I think it's England. Ricky Hatton. Sure. He was like the British welterweight champion or something, and then he became world champion, and then he lost the title to Mayweather. I believe Mayweather.
Pretty sure he's got his kid. His kid's in boxing these days.
Hatton? Yeah, there's a Hatton in there. That could be his kid, yeah. Another quick one would be to watch, guys, if you're interested. Mayweather versus Miguel Cotto. Cotto. C-O-T-T-O. Cotto. That was a hell of a fight, man. Like, I don't know, man. Cotto put up a hell of a fight. Amazing. And then the last one I'm going to talk to you about, guys, and I didn't even know this. September 14th, 2013, he fought Canelo. And he beat Canelo. So I didn't know he fought Canelo, but he did. And he beat Canelo. So that's interesting. Those are some really notable, interesting fights. We got a little bit of awards and stuff. I mean, you'd be here for 20 minutes giving people his award stats and whatever. So we're just going to give you a few because we'd be here just way too long to tell you how many awards they've given the guy. So anyways, Fighter of the Decade, Box Writers Association of America, 2010 to 2020. Two-time Ring Magazine Fighter of the Year, and a three-time Fighter of the Year for ESPN 2007, 13, and 15. They also, ESPN ranked him best pound-for-pound fighter in the last 25 years. So that makes sense. Because if you knock 25 years off, now I'd say that's pretty valid. 25 years, that would be like what, Graham? 1990, 2000, no, 1980, 90, 2000, 2005. Yeah, like 1990 or something. From 1990 up to now, he's pound for pound the best pound for pound fighter. I agree with that. I actually do agree with that. So he retired 2015, and then through his career, he had I remember seeing him in some of those WWE like fighting the Big Show or something, and in wrestling. You know, he had whatever. Vince McMahon brought him out, paid him like $1 gazillion just to show up or something. Pretend he's gonna beat up some guy who's like 7 feet tall, but you know, he got 10 million or something just for showing up. So I guess he figured, free 10 million, whatever, I'll do it. Right. He was on Dancing with the Stars. Do you remember that, Graham? I do remember that as well. 2007.
I remember it. I never saw it.
Yeah, your wife probably did.
Yeah, I'm sure she did.
She likes that stuff. He lives in a big house. He's got a 22,000 square foot house, Graham, in Las Vegas.
Big.
That's pretty big. 22,000 square feet. He's got 4 or 5 kids. He's got a club there. It's called Mayweather Boxing Club in Las Vegas, somewhere in the Chinatown Plaza or something. And if you're ever in Vegas, you can go to, you know, Mayweather's Boxing Club, which I will be doing at some point soon. We will be live from Mayweather's Boxing Club in Las Vegas. Guaranteed. Mark my words. Floyd might even be there. Wouldn't that be fun? So anyways, I want to thank you, Floyd. Great career. Awesome dude. I had a lot of fun watching you. You're a little bit too flamboyant for me, but I don't know. I'm just an old school cat, but he's kind of fun. You know what I mean? He's a fun guy. You can tell. He likes to have fun, so whatever. I like him. I think you should check him out. And again, his fights over the years are amazing, right? Watch this guy, Graham, and you can learn a lot about boxing from him, how it actually works. If you just watch the way he conducts himself in the ring, wow, it doesn't get much better. So, guys, tomorrow, thanks a lot for the likes, the shares, all the subscriptions, the comments. I want to say hi, Amanda. I want to say hi to my buddy Andy and all the boys back up north. Stay safe. You know, it's going to have a hell of a storm tonight, so bunker down and just have a hot chocolate or something and the fire or whatever you're going to do. So we'll see you tomorrow night, guys. Thanks a lot, Graham. And we'll talk a little more about some Detroit guys tomorrow, eh?
Thank you. Right on.
All righty. Thanks,
Sounds
buddy.
good.
We'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Be safe.